going on, everyone? Welcome to another Panel B. I am your host, Alex Jankowski, joined by panelists Julian Edlow and Stephen Buchanan.
Hi.
Lot to get to, fellas. We will lament myself no longer being undefeated in the picks. We will get to that later. We will
right off the bat
discuss Baker Mayfield. I'm not here to brag. We will discuss Baker Mayfield slowly, as Jeff Ulrich says, turning into Uncle Buck. Very exciting to see.
Great comp.
Very somber. This very somber mood out in Cleveland. And, of course, we have to lead off with the man, the myth, the legend, Lenny Moore.
Huge
making
appearance.
his way onto Mount Rushmore on Sunday Night Football. Obviously, Steve Buchanan called this. Little different in that he was on before the city of Baltimore, where we stacked him as an Indianapolis Colt. But
Right.
I'm just getting in the way. The floor is yours, Steve.
Yeah, it was a monumental moment for myself, the Lenny Moore fan club. We were elated. And I was thinking before the show, I was celebrating in silence. But, you know, my fellow panel B-ists let me know immediately, because we were all watching that game, because, you know, being Patriots lovers, except for you.
I was asleep. I saw it this morning.
That makes sense.
But yeah, it was, I was like half paying attention to the game. I was writing some stuff up and I heard it and I was like, who's trolling me? Who interrupted my feed and threw this on there? But yeah, it was real and it was touching. I loved it.
Julian.
Weren't you
I
excited?
don't really have any thoughts. I just thought it was hilarious.
It was great. You know,
Maybe-
it just solidified my thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Maybe some thoughts on that game, though, and what the Ravens were able to do on the ground against the Patriots, or are we just buying into Belichick threw this game on purpose?
It was definitely eye-opening that the Patriots can be gotten to.
Yep.
But I think as mighty as they were, we all knew that they weren't quite as good as the 8-0 that they came into that game with. Or maybe as good as the 8-0, but not as dominant as the numbers.
They hadn't been
kinda
tested
reflect.
to this point yet.
100%.
So yeah, they got tested. They lost. That's my only frustration is losing a bet on the Patriots.
Sure.
All about you.
But as a Patriots fan, I can swallow that loss pretty easily. They got beat straight up. They didn't come out for that game ready. 17-0 in the blink of an eye. You lose by 17. You played them even on the road in a tough environment, coming back from that the rest of the way. So I think they were fine. The Edelman fumble on that first drive to start the half was a backbreaker because they were going to march down the field and take the lead pretty much. They did it on the next drive. That was going to be the result of the drive they were on. Baltimore, per usual, got just enough pressure on Brady. The zero blitzes, the disguising the coverages, the stuff that Baltimore does to generally play Brady as well as any defense in the league.
Yep.
So, good game, good loss. I still think it's either going to be Baltimore or Kansas City coming to New England for the AFC Championship game, and that's where we'll really start to see what's going to happen in the AFC.
Yeah, and I mean, the early start was really the biggest thing, right? Because that's how Baltimore's going to win any game or be able to
100%.
control any game.
Exactly.
And we know that the New England offense is certainly the weaker of the three facets of the game with the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
Well, kicking might be pretty low down
Sure,
there as well.
right.
But, so for the Ravens' ability to just control the clock, control the tempo, it doesn't have to be a grinded out, low-scoring game, but they still need to be ahead for their system to work.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Jackson is that you never want to be behind with Lamar Jackson under center because his strong point is not throwing. We've seen it through college. We've seen it so far in the NFL. But, you know, kind of what Julian was saying, in a way, the Patriots are beaten by their own game because what their biggest thing is all the turnovers they generate and to be able to capitalize on that. The Ravens kind of did that to the Patriots this time around. They just didn't have an answer for it. That fumble by Julian Edelman was a game changer, really, because if the Patriots can start coming back, they're right back in the game. They can start doing things a little different. But if you put the Ravens and give them a lead, they will kill you with the clock. They're excellent at clock management, able to run it down, but it's a loss that I think they needed because they've been coasting, and it's been such an easy schedule for them. Like, Patriots fan or not, that schedule was a joke to start the year until now. Like, they shouldn't have been tested for the first time in Week 9. Like, that's just ridiculous, you know?
Sure.
So, in a way, I was glad to see it because now we can start adjusting. They can start adjusting to what they need to do in the future. But this is a team, like Julian said, you're probably going to see in the playoffs. So you have to adjust accordingly, and they got to do something in the front because teams are going to run all over them. They're not going to get them down through the air. They have an excellent secondary, but you can beat this team on the ground.
Sure. I mean, we even saw it. The only other close game they had this year was Buffalo. Frank Gore over 100 yards in that one. Now let's go to the team that a lot of people thought would be playing the Patriots in the playoffs in the offseason, the Cleveland Browns, who at one point had the 4th shortest odds to win the Super Bowl, I believe it was. At one point, I think that was right after the Odell trade. We've been seeing this implosion time and time again for the Browns, but now to lose to a team that was starting Brandon Allen at quarterback, who, if you don't know who Brandon Allen is, it's not Kyle Allen, it's not Josh Allen, it's Brandon Allen, another one. Baker, they're the only team in the league to not, I believe, I'll go back and double check this is correct, but what I read on Twitter, so I know it must be true. The only team in the league to not have a game in which they've thrown 2 touchdown passes. Baker has
Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
You want to hear a number that speaks to Baker Mayfield? This is from ESPN Stats. Baker Mayfield could throw 250 consecutive touchdowns without an interception, and he would still have a worse touchdown to interception ratio than Russell Wilson.
So where did this go wrong, though? Because even if you hated the Freddie Kitchens hire, the one thing that he seemed to do well last year was get that offense going with Baker Mayfield. So how come that is the thing now that is just completely falling apart?
The plays they call are ridiculous. Like, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago.
He's
the play calling is unbelievable. It's the play calling. It's unbelievable. I mean, Baker Mayfield's not helping
he was
things.
the running backs coach who's, I keep saying, is in charge of 4 people.
He was, but he was calling plays at the end of the year. He had been...
Right. Beginner's luck. Because he went from coaching 4 people to 53 people, and he can't do it. And there was a awesome screenshot on Twitter, I forget who had it, of last week's game between the Browns and Patriots where, you can get penalized if you have guys in front of a yellow line on the sideline, and it's a picture of the Patriots and Browns sidelines at the same time, and the Patriots are all in order of offense, special teams, and defense on the bench behind the yellow line, and the Browns sideline is just scattered, everyone everywhere, half of them in front of the line, and it just shows to the organization that is had there, and that's obviously using an extreme example in the Patriots, but I think some teams are well enough organized to have that, and the Browns just don't have any organization, and that shows on the field because they have the talent, and they're losing to teams like Denver, who had not much talent in that game.
No.
Yeah. My streak of picking talent over coaching has come to an end. Real quick, though, before we get into our picks, if you're power ranking head coaches in the NFL, Kitchens, Gase, I'll throw Dan Quinn in there. Who's 32? Who's last?
It has to be Gase. It's tough. That's a hell of a group. But at least I'm changing my mind.
I'll rank them. The worst is Kitchens, the next worst is Gase, and then Dan Quinn.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that because at least with the Browns, they are talented.
And then there's 10
bottom.
more that all also suck.
Yeah,
Right.
I think Gase.
But those got to be the bottom 3.
Oh,
or
by far.
Putting Flores down there. Flores is there's just no talent on that team.
Yeah, Flores is fine. He can. Let's see what he can do with a little bit more.
Garrett's got to be down there though.
Sure.
Even with how the Cowboys.
Yeah,
I think
bottom
for him
3,
is more. It's purely in game.
Yeah.
There's these teams, Kitchens and Gase in particular. It's more than just in game. Because there were times this year, when Darnold was out, you knew Darnold was out.
Yeah.
And, what were you doing in the week leading up to it?
Yep.
Yeah.
And you got to factor in the locker room as well. I think Cleveland's on its way to losing the locker room, but I think that's probably more on the Baker side even than on the Kitchen side with Gase.
It's both.
I mean, it's open revolt at this point, it seems
Well, the other thing, too, and this is very minor, but I saw that Beckham and Landry came out with cleats that they weren't supposed to be wearing.
Yeah.
But it's just goes to the coaching. You should be nipping that before it even becomes a story.
I would say, Odell was wearing the watch week 1. I think with those guys, if they're winning, it's just a story and it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, Antonio Brown had that during his heyday in Pittsburgh as well with certain cleats and stuff, and you just don't. It's a side story, and it's a good article to click on, but like it's not a talking point. Now, I mean, I agree that now when it is that bad, you just need to understand that these are the guys who aren't going to take it upon themselves and think, okay, this probably isn't the right time because we're playing terribly.
Right.
So, I mean, Kitchens has no leg to stand on, though, for him to stand there and say, like, guys, listen to me, seriously.
Right. But just going off the losing the locker room talk, like that shows it to me. Like, you would never get away with that on the Patriots or whatnot. But the Browns, who are just in disarray, and then you got this sideshow stuff going on, like, just adds to the story.
And real quick, looking ahead to next week, it still shocks me, but it doesn't totally shock me that the 2-win Browns are hosting the 2-loss Bills, and the Browns are 2-point favorites.
Yep. That's a Bills money line spot.
Yep.
Plus 108 right now on the money line.
Hammer it.
Hey, plus money. Plus money's plus money.
The only thing I will say, though, is that they can run against the Bills. Chubb will have a good game against the Bills.
Right.
If that's where you want to kind of go with that narrative. But other than that, I mean,
Chubb should have had a great game against the Broncos.
He should have. And if actually, for as good as the Broncos secondary has been, the Browns had the most receiving yards of all season long against them, which was surprising because that's where you don't get beat. I'm sorry, where the Broncos don't get beat is through the air. And instead it was flip-flop, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, the Broncos got out ahead. And, I mean, I think this number actually probably will go down for the Browns. So they're going to be so volatile week in, week out that if you get them at home, they are the more talented team, at least offensively. All right. I held off eating crow as much as possible. I'll get into all my excuses later. We'll start with the guy who had the winning weekend with his picks, and that'll be Mr. Buchanan.
Steelers, never a doubt.
Yeah.
They had that game the whole time. I wasn't sweating that out with Julian. Well, how is Vinatieri still on the field? He didn't just miss that guy. He missed. Did you end up seeing that?
Oh, yeah, I saw it.
Awful. I mean, granted, he kicked the laces. It was bad placement, but that wasn't even close. That was like 60,000 feet to the left.
Yeah.
It was horrible. But that was a close one. The Colts made that a lot closer than I thought it was. Like, Pittsburgh's been a team that it's been hard to throw against, and Mason Rudolph. Brian Hoyer.
Okay.
Who
Blast from the past.
He had
no
some
idea.
numbers. He had
No
some
idea
did
that
have
was
some
the
numbers.
backup.
He did.
No idea he was the backup.
No T.Y. Hilton.
Right?
Zach Pascal was the one who's ended up having a nice game. He made it close. Props to him in a tough game environment to just go into that game and get that done. But they pulled through. Seahawks pushing, annoying. That was really annoying. Like, went to overtime. Like,
Well, you got extremely fortunate.
Right. Because you're lucky they didn't just kick the field.
They were getting blown out all game, came back, missed the game-winning field goal, which would have lost you the bet, and then push in overtime on a touchdown when teams usually win by 3 in overtime.
I mean, it's easy for you to say. You had a losing week. You're kind of angry. I was having a nice week, and they'll push. Annoying.
It's fine. Just riding the wave of a winning season.
The losing wave.
A losing week in a winning season.
Well, that's a heck of a transition then. Or do you have more to expound upon?
I'll just let my winning week do the talking. Go ahead, losers.
3 of the Browns were going to be one of mine. Janko missed and submitted his pick. So I backed the Browns for him.
I should have known I was going 0-2 when you liked both of my picks.
Loved him. What are we going to do about the Vinatieri kick? Won on the Colts money line last week on a Vinatieri, 50-yarder. You lose on it this week. That's the kind of
in which he had missed 2 in that game, too. Like, buddy, take a hint.
So the Browns -3, they moved to -4. They were the 3 most public bets of the week. The 3 most tickets were on the Browns, on the Packers, which I made my best bet after Janko took the Browns. I thought that the Packers were just going to keep riding in L.A. The Chargers just dominate that game. Worst game of the Packers season by far.
Ever.
Was it? I didn't see the game. Was it like a Packers home game, like we expected?
Oh yeah,
they had nothing to cheer about.
Yeah,
it was filled with Packers fans, and the Packers just did
Melvin
absolutely
Gordon finally
nothing.
showing up. Yeah,
I think it was the first time ever that the Packers got shut out with like less than 50 yards. I don't know if it was less than 50 yards as a team or less than 50 yards from Aaron Rodgers in the first half.
First half, yeah.
Either way, that's how bad they were.
Yep.
And then the Patriots were the other of the three public teams that just got smashed. So, no excuses. Just picked better teams. I picked the better teams that were in the worst spots, and the spots prevailed over the teams.
Yep, fellas, you're looking at someone who went 0-2. This week, the Browns, hey, I'll take that one on the chin. That was bad to pick the Browns. They're, as Steve would say, they are on the list, I think, at this point.
Oh, nice.
Although, I'll be honest, I kind of like them. I kind of like them at home against the Bills, so we'll see what that number is on Wednesday. We'll see. Nothing final yet. But then the Colts. So, a little background, I wasn't on the show on Wednesday. My kid got sick. Not blaming him or anything for me not being here.
It's the kid's fault.
To make my picks. These two gentlemen here, nice enough to read them for me, not maybe giving...
Oh, wait, you weren't here Wednesday? Oh, I thought you were. When the way the guy was speaking, I thought it was Janko. I thought you were here.
Interesting.
Weird.
That you're having conflicting voices in your head. But, not here to give the full rationale on my picks or on my stack. That's okay. Real quickly, the reason the Easter egg and the pumpkin Reese's are so much better than the original is because you don't have to deal with that outside chocolate crinkle layer. You get a much better ratio
He is actually
of
right
peanut
about
butter
that.
to chocolate.
It's smoother.
It's far more
smoother
peanut
with
butter.
the peanut butter.
It's far more peanut butter. Okay.
Your lives are so tough that you worry about the brown, black, crinkly paper.
No, not the paper.
the
The actual
paper.
chocolate rim. You have to bite through that just to get to peanut butter. You don't have to on the other ones. You're right in. They took the center.
It's definitely smoother.
It's the center of the Reese's cup.
If you took your
and
finger,
made that's the best
if
part.
you took your finger on a cup and like an egg or whatever, and you pushed on them, the non-cup would be mushier.
You know what I do?
I have no idea what you just said.
Softer.
But I'm with it.
The ones that you like are softer. The ones without the
Sure. Yeah, more susceptible to meltage. I'll give you that. But thankfully, October.
If you eat it at the right time.
Usually, it's pretty cold. But anyways, back to the picks and why I got screwed. So the picks are made on Wednesday morning. Then Wednesday afternoon, T.Y. Hilton gets injured for multiple weeks.
Too bad.
Footage showing Bukes sneaking around the practice facility to make sure he got that pick.
A lot of free time.
Brissett gets knocked out of the game early. They go to Brian Hoyer.
Who was probably better than Brissett?
Let's not go over the top here.
Hoyer was pretty good.
I think
I bet on the Colts.
He puts him in a position for a field goal. And then, so full disclosure, so I'm driving at this time, and because of who I am and what I have invested in these bets, I actually have my phone up on the dash, and I'm refreshing DK Live, great app, by the way, to get it. And I see that they get in field goal range, and I'm like, all right, here we go, pulling through again. The other game hadn't started yet, so I still had that hope. And then I just see 46 yarder, no good. So I didn't even get to see it, thankfully, because that would have been a gut punch.
Oh, I can pull it up for you.
No, I've since seen it, and I've since heard the laces in. I don't know how you affected that. And it just goes flying, and I'm just desolate. Head down. The streak is over. 12-2. 12-2. Still a winning season. Still home field advantage throughout. But oof.
I can't imagine
That
what
hurt.
your poor wife was thinking. Was she with you?
No, I was by myself.
Oh, okay. I was
So
going to say,
I got to
she's
let-
probably wondering what the hell's going
I got
on.
to let out all the obscenities that really, that I was feeling.
But we knew this was coming. We said it on the show. Like Julian said it best.
It's called regression, and it also probably didn't hurt that I was on both of those picks.
That's what hurt me more than quote-unquote regression. See, the underlying statistics were all very good in my favor, so I knew there was no regression. Got them wrong. That's all right. We'll bounce back.
Yeah.
Maybe. According to Bukes, I'm going 12-27 now. Where you got 27 from, I really don't know.
It just sounded like a really bad record.
It does.
27 just really stuck out to me like, oh, that's bad. Well, you know what we should do, though? If you're so worried about these early picks, we'll have to start doing Panel B on Friday. A third edition. How do you like that, Slates and Cody? Huh? A third one. You like that? Just saying.
Yeah.
I'm busy on Fridays.
Yeah, there it is. Not interested.
Oh, come on. Damn it.
This place is also a ghost town on Fridays. Okay. Let's talk about tonight's game real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Cowboys -6.5. So we do this whole thing where we're just talking about now coaching and talent, right? And how coaching is harming talent. perfect transition yet again to talk about Jason Garrett and the Cowboys going on the road. They're minus 6.5 to a Giants team. I was going to say fully healthy. Sterling Shepard, though, unfortunately not playing again, but still.
Concussed.
Yeah, what the hell? What's that about?
Well, I mean, head injuries, man. You know, who are we to speculate? Saquon Barkley, though, Golden Tate, this team is getting healthier overall. They're 6.5 dogs at home for a divisional primetime game. Am I just leaning too much on the Giants here?
I mean, the problem is that the Giants secondary has just been amongst one of the worst in the leagues. Like, we always kind of rag on the Eagles. Like, the Giants are very much up there. Like, Janoris Jenkins has just been roasted week after week, it feels like. DeAndre Baker, another one, they just let up so much yardage. I think it's like 15.1 yards per reception at this point now. It's just been really, really bad. So, you throw Michael Gallup in the mix, Amari Cooper in the mix. Like, it's hard to think that they can be able to come back from that. With that said, the addition of Golden Tate is not being talked about enough. Like, he has just been a target monster playing out of the slot, moving Sterling Shepard to the outside, who, like we said, is not in this game. But Daniel Jones has formed a quick rapport with Tate. And the Cowboys have had some issue with slot receivers. So I think it's going to be a pretty close game. I feel like 6.5 might be a little too high.
Sure.
I'm not kind of crazy about that line. I'd be more comfortable maybe doing the over-under in this game.
Yeah,
but
I was just over 48.
Yeah, I think I kind of like that more than the spread. But I think it's going to be a pretty close game. I think from fantasy purposes, there's a lot of points in this game to be had.
Am I nuts for thinking if it's going to be a close game, I just go plus 255 for the Giants on the money line? Like, Garrett's going to mess this up. It's going to come down to a last-second field goal for the Cowboys. It's just whether it gets made or missed, I think.
So you're not crazy because one trend this week that I forgot to mention, on Sunday, spreads did not matter. Home teams went 11-0 against the spread, 11-0 straight up.
Sure.
Crazy.
I don't know when that's happened. And home teams this week are 12-0 against the spread because the Cardinals covered on Thursday night. They were actually the only home team to lose this week so far, though.
Hashtag thanks, Vinatieri.
Is that with Jaguars? Were they the home team?
Oh, are we?
That's the only one I wasn't sure
I
about.
do think they are technically the home team.
Were they home team? Doesn't matter. Whatever. I didn't mean to throw a wrench in that.
No, I don't think that one was counted because there were 12 games yesterday. There was the 10-game slate, the one early, and the one night.
Okay.
So that throws out the neutral field game.
Okay.
The 11 teams actually
true home teams.
The 11 true home teams all won and covered.
Cool.
So sharp money. This was 7.5, and sharp money took the Giants, the home team, getting the touchdown. Now at 6.5, obviously kind of a key number to be missing on. We think it might be a field goal game, but 7's a key number.
And you see it, Cowboys. So the minus 6.5 is minus 117 for the Cowboys, and the Giants are minus 105.
So I mean, you can potentially buy the Giants to plus 7 for generally that would cost minus 115. So you can potentially still get a touchdown on them. The thing that scares me here is how good the Cowboys are in division. If Jason Garrett has mastered one thing, it's beating these NFC East teams. Dallas is 7-0 straight up and against the spread last 7 division games, 5-0 straight up and against the spread last 5 against the Giants. So they seem to have this matchup down. That's probably why I'm going to be leaving this one alone most likely. Mm-hmm. We'll see. There's always time for a live play if something jumps out.
Yes.
But yeah, I would say my favorite play on the game, just from a spread total perspective, is the over. We should see some points. Dallas's defense definitely overrated and on the road here. We saw what they did in this stadium with the Jets. That was pretty ugly. But yeah, crazy week for the home team, which doesn't mean anything for this game, but just makes you think how valuable it can be to get points with a team at home.
Yeah. On a DFS standpoint, I mean, you talked about attacking the Giants through the air. However, obviously Zeke and Saquon are the primary focus for both these offenses. Are you trying to squeeze them in? Are you trying to just maybe pick one or the other for a captain? How would you approach Showdown for this?
I mean, at least from a DFS standpoint, if the Giants are indeed going to be 7-point underdogs here, then Barkley makes the most sense because of how much he gets to use in the passing game. I mean, you look at his target shares over the past 3 weeks, 20 targets. Like he's just getting. I mean, it's been Tate and Barkley. It feels like through the air going against him. the rest of the Giants receivers has been like a hit or miss. Like I know Darius Slayton has been used a little bit lately. 8, 2, and 5 targets the last his.
Well,
3
so
games.
no Sterling Shepard is what makes
and no
him.
Sterling Shepard too. Yep.
Or does it make Ingram, who has a good matchup? He's 7,800.
Ingram's been kind of he's been really hit or miss this season. So I mean going through his game log, 14 points, 1.6, 10.7. Like he hasn't been like it's almost like he was more effective with Eli than he has been with Daniel Jones. Like Daniel Jones has been going to him like Eli used to. Like Eli's relying more on Barkley and Tate. It seems like. So I'm not crazy about Ingram at this point. I don't know what his red zone target share is. I'm gonna see if I can pull that up. But Barkley, I think, is like you never can go wrong with him in a captain's position. Like I know it's going to cost you a ton.
Yeah,
and it's going to
let's set that stage
your
real
thing
quick. So Elliott, if you're looking at captains, Elliott's 17,400, Barkley's 17,100. Then it's down to Dak at 15,600.
Yeah.
So Julian, if we were just talking about Elliott and Barkley, price is negligible really when you're talking about the two of them. Who would you lean more toward?
I mean, I think that you have to lean more toward Zeke, I guess, but I don't want to pick one. I feel like picking one is a fine question, but like if you're playing this slate, I feel like you have to have both of those guys.
Yeah.
Figured
There's
out.
a path.
Like,
So you're
both.
not captain? Are you wouldn't?
So
be
that's what
captaining
I'm what I'm playing with right now. I don't think you can captain one of them and roster the other and fill out a viable roster that you would want. So that means that we're paying down at captain and rostering both of them because, Zeke probably has the better game script as the touchdown favorite, 29 DK points in back-to-back games. We know he's going to get 20-plus touches. But, I mean, Dallas ranks 28th in DraftKings points allowed per game to the running back position. Saquon caught 8 of 10 targets last week for 79 yards and a touchdown. So even if they're playing from behind, it doesn't matter. And he still got 19 carries in that game at Detroit. So I think that you have to play both of these guys, take those points, and then play, if you're playing cash, play the safest options from there on out with your leftover salary. If you're playing a GPP, go down, find that one contrarian punt play that you're going to go with and fill the rest out. But one way or another, you have to have both of these guys.
Any other thoughts on NFL?
I think that covers it.
Yeah. Obviously, we'll hit, next week harder going into the weekend. Anticipate on being here on Wednesday as well to help do that. And we will all go 2-0 next week. Unless we pick against each other again. Maybe that should be a new thing. We have to.
See what happens? You go after the king, you get dethroned.
I'm pretty sure you made
I don't
that
know if
pick
you have
just
to throw
because wait a minute. So in this scenario, you're the king,
Yeah,
not
come
the guy
after
who
me.
was undefeated at the time, and not the guy who made the pick first.
No. You were the king. I went after it. I said that on the show. I said,
Okay.
I'm going after the king, and you were dethroned.
The draft king.
Wow.
It's got a nice ring.
Maybe you should
Okay.
stay off the show again.
We'll hit on NBA real quick because our stack is also going to be NBA. So, solid transition there. Looking at tonight's action, you got the Warriors, who are double-digit home underdogs. Rarefied air for that. They're also starting 5 people you probably have never heard of, unless you really play DFS, obviously, mining for value. Also interesting to me, the Suns. How about the Phoenix Suns? Turns out being terrible all these years and getting draft picks, even though one of them is suspended, they're actually not half bad. They're only plus 102 on the money line hosting the Sixers tonight.
This is an undefeated Philly team going up against a 4-2 Suns team who is a perfect 6-0 against the spread for Phoenix.
What really matters.
Which,
Exactly.
which is what really matters.
A team that was like 20-plus point underdogs every game last year, seemingly.
Right. So I think with this slate, still the big thing is just the bodies that we're going to be missing. Russell Westbrook is
Confirmed.
resting.
Yes.
And then we have Karl Anthony Towns and Joel Embiid serving the final games of their suspension for that awesome fight last week. So a lot of big
While
names.
Ben Simmons, quote-unqute, peacemaker.
Yeah, that was awesome. The headlock, Towns tapping out, even though I think he was like slapping the floor trying to get out, but get up. But yeah, that was good. So that just gives us so many plays on this slate that I think you can obviously pay up for, like Harden, Simmons. Wiggins, whoever you want to fill in with there.
Gorgie Jang,
the primary scorer. Gorgie Jang will be your value play. He is the cash power forward center for sure. But I think this slate is a good one in terms of it's not one of those overwhelming 10-11 game ones. It's 6 games. There's good games for the most part. The only projected blowout is Portland in Golden State, which is crazy that the Charlotte Hornets, by the way, who were projected for an NBA low 23.5 wins, closed as 6-point favorites at Golden State on Saturday night. That's how bad things have gotten. But I think this is a nice balanced slate with not too many overwhelming games, plenty of big-name injuries to open up clear value plays that are going to stand out, whether they be pay-down guys like Gorgie Jang or pay-up guys like Ben Simmons or Harden. I think this is a very clear-cut slate.
I thought it was interesting. The over-under on the Rockets-Grizzlies game, it actually went down while we were talking. It was 229.5. It's now just 229. Obviously still reacting to Westbrook, which Houston
He's just being rested, right?
He's just resting, yeah. But Houston didn't run too fast of an offense when it was just Harden and Chris Paul. That changed this year with Russ, and then the Grizzlies are like diametric opposites, and I love it. Like they were the grind and grit Grizzlies for so long. Now they got Ja Morant, and they are sprinting up the floor. So even with Westbrook out, I kind of feel like the Grizzlies' pace is going to force the Rockets to keep playing fast, even if they might want to slow it down.
I agree. I think that should be a fast-paced game.
I was just looking too at that over-under. It opened at 234.5.
Right.
And already hammered down to 229.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that is just reacting to Russ. It might not even be bets themselves because he was the proverbial straw that stirs the drink.
And also, just looking, Suns are 6-0 against the spread so far this season.
Yeah.
That's
Love it.
They're 4-2 straight up.
That's wild.
They're like good.
Can't wait till we stack the Suns because I can tell you the one guy who will be 100% owned will be the gorilla who goes through the flying wheel to dunk the ball off
flying,
the trampoline.
flaming wheel.
Exactly. That's what I meant to say. It is on fire.
Like Frank the Tank in Old School, except he's never caught fire.
Yes.
That's such a
We
good
have not
movie.
seen the gorilla go streaking yet.
We've got to keep our composure.
That's such a great movie.
It is time to do our all-time stack, though. We are going
Oh, boy.
NBA. We had a nice run of NFL there, so Bukes could really feel like he was
Contributing?
leading the charge even. Like, I hope, he's still able to contribute in some aspects here. We're going to go Toronto Raptors, the defending NBA champion Toronto Raptors, north of the border. Maybe Drake finds his way into one of these. Not a great basketball player. Great brand ambassador, though, if you will. So we got a guard, a forward, a center, which I know we're going to have a lot of talk about what is center eligible, and a flex. I'll concede, even though I didn't do it on my stack, I will concede that we're probably going to make center very, a lot of people will be PFC if we so choose, given that current DraftKings is very, very flexible with a lot of these guys, making them multi-position eligible. So with that, Julian, why don't you kick us off here with your all-time Toronto Raptors stack?
Yeah, so going all-time, for a team that's brand new, I thought there was actually a good amount of controversy here in terms of some of the picks. My favorite all-time Raptors, and maybe it's just because of the jerseys at the time, which they're now bringing back, like the Damon Stoudemire.
The jerseys could have been a pick on this stack, too, if you so choose with your flex.
Those are top 3 or 4 NBA 90s jersey. This is a stack that we should just do, 90s NBA jerseys.
Yeah.
Or just 90s jerseys
that
in
was
general.
on the original Google Doc, so we might just go to that.
Okay, so I'm leaving the Raptors jerseys off this
next
one
one.
because 90s jerseys
Sure.
should be a stack that we do
Boom,
anyway.
Wednesday stack.
And it sounds like we've
Finally, it's a
decided on
group
something
decision.
for Wednesday in the farthest advance that we've ever planned anything for a show. So, I really want to take, a Damon Stoudemire, a Marcus Camby, but, those guys were there a few years and just, laid the groundwork for the franchise. So maybe as a Raptors fan, that means something to you personally. And, you're not a Raptors fan.
Oh, you are?
Man.
No,
I forgot about this.
I'm somewhat
I forgot about
tangentially
that.
growing up in Buffalo with the cool jerseys. Yes, do I have a Tracy
Fair.
McGrady purple jersey? Yes. Mavericks
Tracy
fan at
McGrady
heart, though.
would really like to have him on here, but he didn't do anything really for the Raptors.
That was the twilight. Although pre-knuckleball, Tracy McGrady, I will say.
So, I mean, going with point guard, like Kyle Lowry has become kind of like Mr. Raptor all time, and that was Damon Stoudemire originally, and now it's kind of been passed off almost to him. Kyle Lowry was wearing the Damon Stoudemire jersey at the championship parade. So not personally a huge Kyle Lowry guy, but I think he's the guy at point guard.
It's just guard, though. We're doing 4 positions: guard, forward, center, flex. So it didn't need to be a point guard.
Okay, at guard.
Just saying. Because we're going to get into like the SGSF debate over somebody.
Yeah,
and then
no, I mean guard for me was it was between Kyle Lowry and Damon Stoudemire, so it didn't matter. But I just said point guard.
Sure.
So forward is where I'm going to go. The shooting guard, small forward.
Exactly.
Vince Carter was considered a small forward when he was there for the most part, and he's going to be my forward. He was the guy that jump-started the Raptors and took the Damon Stoudemires and Marcus Camby's that were somewhat exciting and actually made the Raptors good. Best dunk contest of all time as well. But he was a beast when he was with the Raptors. So the power forward, center one, yes, I'm going with Chris Bosh.
He was a beast for 10, 15 years after that, too. Never not a beast.
Still currently a beast.
Yeah, never not a beast.
Yeah, Chris Bosh. I would love to go Marcus Camby, UMass guy as well, but just didn't do it long enough there. He was on the Knicks within 2 years playing in the NBA Finals against the Spurs. Chris Bosh was solid enough while he was there before he went to Miami. And then
Big enough to be a member of the Big Three.
Yeah. And then the flex has to be Kawhi because he won the 1 year, so we're obviously not going full body of work here. But he won the team their lone championship and is the best individual player that's ever best individual season in Raptors history, even with all the load management.
I was going to say, I'm operating on this slate with this all-time stack that he's load managed in this one, so I left
Perhaps.
Bukes?
Oh, you go? Okay.
Yeah, I want yours.
So I went.
You're here. You get to say some names.
Oh, thank you. So for guard, I went DeRozan.
Okay.
And he essentially leads almost every single category for the Raptors. Like, go across the board, like points, games, minutes, field goals made, field goals attempt.
If only they never invented that pesky three-point line. Dude would have been like the greatest player of our generation.
Well, if that's the case, then you could go Lowry. Because basically, that's the guy.
I could. You
could.
DeRozan was my
though.
third consideration at guard.
I went with Vince Carter for forward.
Sure.
At least for me, like, that kind of feels like the face of the franchise. Like, when you think of Vince Carter, you think of him on the Raptors.
Mm-hmm.
Agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, he had more success as a team with the Nets, but there's no doubt that, you know, when you talk about the dunk contest and what basketball has become as, like, this social spectacle, like, that's more impactful than, you know, anything else. Yeah, he dunked over a guy when he was wearing a Team USA jersey. He went to finals with the Nets, I believe, right? He did? Yeah.
No.
Okay. Well, forget
Didn't
that.
play in either of those finals.
All right. Well, whatever. But still, those teams were more successful than he was with the.
Center, I went Bosh, like Julian said.
Yeah.
I was toying with the idea of Jonas.
Yeah.
At center as well.
My name is.
Huh?
My name is Jonas.
Right. My flex is a fun one.
Okay.
Because I owned this. Was the 1994 starter Raptors jacket.
Wow.
Had
Weren't
I
they
known.
established in 1995?
Huh? No. 1994.
Maybe the logo was out.
Well, yeah, take a look. I'm almost positive.
I
it
don't
was
think
94.
starter jackets have like certain vintages either. Like it could have been a later.
Well,
90s.
here's the crazy thing. When I was looking it up to make sure it was the right one, like people are selling it online for like $200, $300.
Right.
So now I wish I held on to that and just stop getting all dirty, going out and playing whatever. And
Sure.
but
Yeah,
that jacket
they
was
were
elite.
established in 95. First pick was Damon Stoudemire.
Well, either way, it's an elite jacket.
Okay.
I'm not disagreeing with you there. And in and of itself could be another stack of starter jackets, which probably would mesh pretty well with our 90s jerseys.
Look it up. Looks great. It would look good on you.
Okay.
It look great on me.
No one said there's a certificate of authenticity with these 94s that are selling for all this money either. So with mine, yeah. So I did guard. I did Vince Carter as a guard. and then Bosch as my forward. And I did go Jonas as my center. I was more on the Chris Bosch as just a power forward train just from when he was there. No doubt that in today's NBA, if he was still around and, sad that his career was cut short, he would definitely be playing small ball center, like a la Draymond Green now, for the little bit that he was on the Warriors this year. Just that tank is so fascinating. And then my flex play, again, like just playing into, what basketball has become, the memeability of it, the inflatable raptor who like eats the cheerleaders and stuff. Like
that is funny.
Your team doesn't have to be good for you to be relevant because you get this bouncing around raptor, and that was like they had gone away from the purple jerseys. They were trying to like.
It is impressive how it like eats entire people.
Yeah, they were trying to establish the raptor as like this like scary. They like went to the black jerseys, and it was like it was no longer a cartoon. It was like, no, take us seriously. We're the Raptors. But their teams were bad. Chris Bosch was just starting to play, and they just had this raptor who would bounce around and eat players and eat cheerleaders as well. So
it's like the Flyers. That mascot is taking on a life of its own.
Right.
Like it's more
gritty.
Right. That's exactly it. But it's more has like a social presence in the actual team.
Sure.
At this point, like it's
and
crazy.
we would never stack hockey here because of my panelists would mutiny. But yeah, gritty would be easily on a Flyer stack, and I hate the Flyers, and I would still happily put gritty there. But yeah, inflatable raptor. Shouts out to you for being the thread that connected the Vince Carter years with the DeMar DeRozan, Kyle Lowry, Kawhi years.
Thanks
still
for
around,
choosing
I
that
think,
lifestyle.
too, right? I think they still.
I think so.
Use them. Yeah.
Dope.
Yeah. Got you through the Landry Fields and I don't know, Leandro Barbosa and who else? Jose Calderon and Bargnani. God, the Raptors had some really bad teams.
That's what happens when you take Andrea Bargnani number 1.
Yeah. Hey, well, the Knicks still took him after the fact.
That's true. That's why the Knicks are the Knicks.
Yeah. We'll get to that one later on. He will not be landing on anyone's top stacks, I don't believe.
No.
All right. That is going to do it, right? We good? Got any baseball to talk about? Strasburg opting out? Power move?
Padres.
I dig it. Padres?
No,
Padres. I get it because San Diego State, but I think he goes back to the Nationals. They kind of have to pick between
they
him
have
and
to
Rendon.
choose between him or Rendon.
Yeah.
They don't have room
That
for
stinks.
both.
But I don't think they're even going to have room for Rendon. Like, I think you're going to be able to get Strasburg.
Why do you think
gonna get a lot.
Rendon's going to get a bigger contract than Strasburg?
I think Rendon's going to break the bank, at least from a positional standpoint.
See, that's the unfortunate part about baseball.
And Strasburg's not going to be what Cole's going to get.
No. But baseball's just getting so out of control. Like Rendon's going to be one of the highest paid players in the league. Like it's just getting ridiculous.
I could say he deserves it, though. I mean, he's a legit MVP
Right, but then
candidate.
when he deserves it, and then somebody else is going to come along, and then, he deserves. You know what I mean? Like it's getting to the point where it's just getting out of control.
That's always been the case. Like that's, and as long as they don't have a salary cap, that is going to continue to be the case. I mean, it happens in other sports that have salary caps,
Yep.
And eventually the bubble bursts and you get the Sam Bradfords where everyone's, on the rookie scale side, and it's like, oh,
he's probably still getting paid.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, he
is.
is. And Bobby Bonilla still is.
Sam Bradford?
Yeah.
Matt Scherzer's going to, it'll be worth it, but Scherzer deferred his contract as well. He's to like 25 years worth of payments. That's the way that it is. Robinson Cano broke the bank for the Mariners.
Did you see Scherzer during the parade?
No, I did not.
He was like literally in bars, like doing like the train with just random local folks.
In bars doing the train.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
all right.
Guys,
It could have gone a lot of different ways, and the way this show has before. I mean, he's pounding a roast beef 3-way, and he's.
Have you tried that yet?
No.
Oh my god! Oh, you know what I forgot?
What?
We were talking about this on the show. They have sour candy corn.
Wow.
Oh yeah,
Did you
I have to bring it in. It's actually not bad. Do you like candy corn normally?
I don't hate it.
Okay, so how would you feel about sour candy corn?
I
They're
probably
flavored,
would
too.
hate it. I would probably hate it, but I'll give it a shot.
I do like sour candy, but I really don't like candy corn.
Yeah. I love how this has become like on Veep, season 1 of Veep. At the end of every episode, she asks, like, did the president call? And the secretary says no. And this is going to be at the end of every episode. Bukes turns to Julian. Have you tried that yet? No.
What's stopping you? You live across the street from a roast beef establishment.
His dignity.
I don't know, barbecue sauce, mayo, and cheese.
Oh, I know. Horrible commodities.
Just doesn't sound that good.
Condiments. Commodities.
What did I say? Commodities?
Yeah. I mean,
What the hell ever?
in a
listening.
post-apocalyptic world, they could
I'm
be
really just
commodities.
enjoying you guys stalling, talking about all these random things. I'm trying to scroll all the way back to like April because I was going to give my extremely impressive college basketball Twitter record since college basketball
That's
starts
going
on
to do it for
Tuesday
our show,
night.
fellas. Reminder
cares?
that odds and lines are subject to change. Please see website for actual odds. If you or somebody you know has a gambling problem and would like some help, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. For Julian Edlow, for
At
Stephen
Julian
Buchanan.
Edlow, I'll tweet it out later today.
No one cares.
I'm Alex
You can
Jankowski.
just search for it right here, idiot.
It didn't.
We will see you next time.
Just put the date in, dummy.